Okay, so I just want to talk briefly about CSS. I don't want to spend too much time doing this, but I know there's a lot of complexity, so I won't be able to like explore things in their full complexity. However, maybe seeing a little bit of CSS in action will be a little bit helpful. So in my lecture slides here, all I want to do is go over a very small number of CSS rules that you might want to use. So to begin with, you might want to just control the visibility of particular elements. So there are two main ways to do this. There are two rules. The first is the display rule, and the second is the visibility rule. And they're similar but not identical. So display controls how the browser treats your element. There are three relevant values for us. There are a number of other values, but we're only going to care about these ones. A display block means give this element its own line. Display inline means show this element, but put it in the context of its parent. So like a paragraph is display block. It gets its own line. A link or an italicized instruction to italicize, those are inline elements. They're display inline. They continue the flow from the parent element. And then display none means don't show this element at all. And in fact, completely remove it from the page so that there's no hint of its existence. Visibility is different, the visibility instruction. It tells the browser to show or hide the text, but no matter what you do, it always reserves the space that would normally be taken up by the element. So you can have visibility hidden, that means don't show the element, or visibility normal, which means show the element. So let's just take a quick look. Here's Alcolera again, as we saw before. And we just check out the poem CSS. I did a bunch of stuff in class in our somewhat failed lecture, and I've commented that out. But why don't I just start by hiding everything, all the stanzas. So I'm going to do stanza, and I'm going to say visibility. And I can always just see what this means. Here's my options, hidden or visible. Sorry, I said normal. I should have said visible. Visibility, hidden. And now I'm going to save it. And the stanzas are all gone. And that's a little bit not what I want to say. Maybe what I want to do then is with lines. And then we still have the boxes where the stanza should have been, but they're but mostly they're not present. And now maybe I want to go to my poem data structure and take particular lines, like this first line, and I'm going to call it show. So it got a class of show, and I'm going to go back to poem.cs and say line.show visibility visible. Oops, where the values are visible, yeah. And we can see that that line is now displayed for the first time. And maybe I also want to make it, remember, I'm not going to do anything else right now. And I could, suppose I mostly want to hide the poem. Then I could just hide all the lines to start with, and then slowly build up a group of lines that I want to see, or of elements that I want to see. Maybe it's just a couple of words that I want to have shown. Comment that out. Okay, now let's go back and look at our other things. So color and background color. Color sets the text content color, and background color, sets the background color. You can use various kinds of color names. There are three main ones that we need to worry about here in this class. There are named colors: white, black, red, orange. And then there are lots and lots of them. There's a couple hundred of them: magenta, fuchsia, maroon. I only really know red color names, sorry. Or you can use what are called RGB values, and this is a set of numerical values representing red, green, and blue. RGB, the saturation of the color. So 0 means no red, 255 means a lot of red, or green or blue. And so, for instance, RGB 127, 127, 127 is going to be a gray color. So why don't we come back here and set the line.show color equal to red. And there we see it's red. Or we can set it to some RGB value, sorry. We can do a red like this. So it's fully saturated red and it's got no green or blue. If we want to do purple, we would add green. If you remember from your color wheel, we would add blue and red together, and there's our purple. Numbers can also be written in hexadecimal. A lot of people find this, developers find this more comfortable. I do as well. It's kind of shorthand. It means the exact thing as RGB, but it is written in a slightly different way in hexadecimal. So in numbers that go from 0 to 15, we put a hash in front of it, and then the first two characters are the red value, then the green value, then the blue value. So to get a pure red, we would get the highest number, which is FF, and then zeros for the rest. And we get that red again. And you can notice that in VS Code, it gives you it gives a little box showing you what the colors in. Yeah, and if you hover over the color long enough, it will let you kind of choose your color, and then it will set the value for you. That can be kind of convenient. So you can do the same thing with background color. So I'm going to save that. Now we've got that kind of not so great green. Oops. Background color. And then we have a background, a gray background for that line. So those are colors. You may want to. It's quite likely you want to use colors, and then you're also likely to use font style and font weight. Font weight says how thick the line is, and I can make it bold and save it, and then it's a little bit thicker. I can also use numerical font weights. I don't do that often, so I'll just check in VS Code if it's invalid. So I can make it 100 and it'll become really light. Maybe it's not worth doing. And then font style will basically allow you to make it italic if you want. And then we have an italic right there. So there are lots of other things that you might want to do. You might want to reverse the display of the words, like I talked about in the deformance piece. You might want to do all kinds of other things. So I can just quickly reverse the display by selecting all elements that are children of a line with class of show, and floating those elements right. And we see night is it. Maybe we just make it line. We do it for all the lines. Oops. We want to do this. We're going to have to also clear if we use the float. I'm not really teaching you guys how to do it. It's kind of frustrating. Anyway. there's something that might or might not work exactly right. And there are better ways to do that using Grid or Flexbox, but I'm not teaching you guys that stuff. Just think about what the effects are that you want to achieve, and then let's talk in Slack about how you might do it. You might, type out what you, with a bunch of spaces or whatever, what you want it to appear as, and we can talk about how it might be done. Okay, good luck.